Hello from the Museum of Dungeons and Dragons. This is an overview of some of the things that will be going into the museum. We're going to start with the 50th anniversary of Dungeons and Dragons in 2024. The US Post Office actually put out stamps for Dungeons and Dragons in 2024. But did you know that the British government also put out stamps for Dungeons and Dragons? There's a quick view of them. There are so many things that we've collected that are unusual or just interesting, like the 30th anniversary mug and cup. Converse put out sneakers for Dungeons and Dragons. You know you've hit the big time when they do that. We have unusual figures for the game, and on the top we have some of the collectibles for the movie Honor Among Thieves. Also, there were Dungeons and Dragons My Little Pony. Did you know that? Most people didn't. We have a lot of the pre-painted dragons in our case here. These are just a few that are larger pieces that didn't really fit anywhere else to put on display. Below that are a few more of the pre-painted figures. Below that are a few more unusual items. Some of the old metal miniatures. Keeping going, we have the potions. We have another collectible from the movie. When we went from 2nd edition to 3rd edition, they put out a conversion manual, so that's in there. And then we have some of the old dragon dice in their original sets. We have some of the newer action figures, and then some of the original action figures. Then we have Kid Rock's first series, and on the table in front is the 2nd series that we're working on collecting. As soon as we have all of those, they will go on display as well. Over here on the wall, you know you've hit the big time when a state puts out lottery tickets. There are also a lot of other things here. Just quick, our display for the window of a store when 3rd edition came out. Some pins, just some other collectibles. These are the 4 posters from TSR that we have on display. The outside 2 are for the settings Forgotten Realms and Dragonlance. The second from the left is actually a teaser poster that TSR put out before they even officially announced 2nd edition AD&D. And the second from the right is the 3rd edition release poster put out actually by Wizards of the Coast. These are just a couple of the large banners that we have from the game stays. This was the first one in 2004. Next to it is the second in 2005 that featured Drizz't. And above it, we have the standee from Ragnar from the 3rd edition release. Here are just a few of the collectibles that are unusual for D&D. We've got everything from pops to the huge beholder that WizKids put out. We also have a lot of D&D art. We have signatures from Gary Gygax, Dave Arneson, Margaret Weiss, and Tracy Hickman. And we started collecting our badges from Gen Con in '99. We missed 92 through 98. Those are in a box somewhere. And this stops in 2019 because we ran out of space. So the 2021, 2022, and forward are hanging on the sides. This is kind of our gaming area, but it also has all of our terrain, all of our pre-painted minis from Wizards of the Coast and WizKids. I think our last count was 10,000. For instance, this is Grimlocks and Troglodytes. How many people can field an entire army of just Grimlocks and Troglodytes? We also have dragons and larger pieces on display here and up above. These are just a few more of the pre-painted and metal miniatures that we have on display. We have hundreds more in boxes. These figures, for example, the mimics are from Ral Partha, produced in the 1990s. Then Tiamat. You have to have Tiamat. And Critical Role, Vox Machina. If you've never seen the show, definitely recommend it. Have the classic collection monsters, which highlight first edition. And here, those 4 in the plastic cases in the back are 4 of our favorites. They were given to Wizards of the Coast employees as part of their Christmas bonus. And the only way that you could get it is when a Wizards of the Coast employee left the company. They could sell it. They couldn't sell it while they worked there. Most of the other figures in this case are either promos or collector sets. I have a few special figs on the bottom that are larger, used in our games. And some of the other sets from WizKids, Lego. This case here is the first set of pre-painted figures, Harbinger, that was put out by Wizards of the Coast in 2004. The top set is the 50th anniversary set, put out by WizKids for Dungeons and Dragons in 2024. So that is 20 years of pre-painted miniatures, full sets of both the first and the 50th. And this room has almost entirely Dungeons and Dragons products. So let's start at the beginning. These are miniature versions of many of the box sets and the books. For instance, here's a Dragonlance book, and it is actually completely legible. It contains everything that the original book does. We have monster cards, we have accessories, monstrous compendiums, and here is one of the more interesting books that we have. This includes chainmail. It includes the books from the white box set. These are here just so that if we need information, we can use it. I'll put that back so it stays safe. Over here, we have the most recent editions, and moving down, 5th edition. We actually skip to 2nd, all the way down, 1st edition. This is mostly 2nd, along with some 3rd for Eberron, or 2nd. They're separated by setting. So you have all the Dragonlance together, all the Ravenloft together, all the Forgotten Realms together. And over here, we have the rules for 4th and 3rd. Some more collectible, unusual items. And up above, there are games that are all official D&D games. Including, further along, the Onslaught miniature game that was recently released by WizKids. Here we have some D&D novels, some token sets, miniatures, just some generic Dungeons and Dragons products. These shelves are primarily the D20 products from 3rd edition Open Gaming License. Here, something unusual, the 2nd edition players kits for different types of characters. More D&D games, D&D products. We have the Beasts and Behemoths, Dungeons Tomes, other sets that came out before 4th edition. We have Pathfinder because it is an offshoot of Dungeons and Dragons, and we do not want to forget about it. Up here is the original Dungeon board game that goes with the ones up above. We have the Best of Dragon. We have the Pick Your Own Path Endless Quest adventure books, and here is one that's signed by the author, Rose, along with some of her notes, the resemblance between gamers and dwarves. More of the adventures, including the ones that were smaller, are put in notebooks so that we can protect them. all of the box sets, going up into the larger ones as well, and down to the most recent 5th edition box sets. And on this side of the center island are all of our dungeon magazines. You can see we have one extra one sitting up here, but we start all the way at the beginning and go through until it ended. We also have catalogs from Wizards of the Coast and TSR back to the mail order hobby shop in 1991, and some other summary books. Over here we have roll aids from Mayfair Games, a semi-licensed product, and the Demons, which is a reason they were shut down. We'll get into that later. Down here we have some of the novels, some more Onslaught from WizKids. This is a TSR rack that was released to stores in the 90s. Very unusual, not many of them left. Limited edition chess set. We have some of the more classic monsters, some metal figures, some made by TSR directly, some made by Ral Partha, some made by Grenadier. And who remembers Glaymax? Probably not you. Not official TSR, but interesting. It's from Wizards of the Coast. The other side of the island is all of our dragon magazines. And we have more of those than the dungeon because, well, they printed more. And you can see in our overflow room, we have boxes and boxes of stuff that we just don't have space to put on display. Here are covers from the Sundering books, all signed by the authors. How many people remember the Sundering? Probably not you, but it was released by Wizards of the Coast. And here is a 1980s TSR poster, the most popular fantasy game of the decade when it was 10 years old. This particular bookcase is filled with our collectible books. These are ones that are not used for reference. They are either first editions, first printings, things like that, special covers. We have some unusual items that are mysteries, like this monster manual, which was cut down to size and rebound. We also have items like Player's Handbook that was released at Gen Con with the special flyleaf. Again, a Dungeon Master's Guide with the same. We also have items that were signed by the original authors. This one by Gary Gygax. And the Dungeon Master's Guide, signed by Dave Arneson. Not only do we have the older developers, we also have items signed by the current game designers. This was done in 2024. We have Elmore signing the 200th issue of Dragon that he did the artwork for. And we have Chris Perkins, current designer, signing a random D&D collector's box.
Don't forget to like
and subscribe.